everybody, and welcome again to another episode of One Stud at a Time with your host, Adrian Avila. And today I have the honor and pleasure of having Ayo out on the cast today. Right? I said that right?
Yeah, you did say that
I
right.
was making sure.
Yeah, I didn't give you the full name, so no
Oh,
possibility of
now,
butchering it.
no,
Yeah.
now I want to hear what the full name
Oh, the
is.
full name. Okay, so it's Ayodeji Olusheye, or Dr. Ayodeji Olusheye. I just go by Ayo. It's a lot easier. It's a
Wow.
lot easier. Yeah.
But it sounds so like the way you say it, it's kind of like a little musical to it, you know? It's like
I think language is musical in
it is.
general.
It
yeah.
is. Well, the American language isn't, but all the other languages are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, Spanish is a little bit
how to use it.
romantic, to
That
it.
is true. That is true. Got that spice to it.
Right? It has a little spice to it.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Well, give our audience a, who you are, what you're about, and we'll dive right into it right after.
Okay, so from my name, you can tell that I'm Nigerian, or maybe you couldn't. So being Nigerian, I felt that I had to either go into the medical profession, law, engineering, something like that. But then I saw pharmacy, and it seemed like it was a chill alternative to that, and that's why I went down that road. Fast forward many years, many classes, many things later, I realized that that's not what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to prevent people from going down the road where they need pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help them be well on a holistic aspect instead of just giving a quick fix here, a quick drug here, and then sends you about your way.
With the Band-Aid, right? Is how I like to say it.
Exactly. And it starts with your mind, because you can know all the right things to do, but are you actually going to do it?
Right.
So that's kind of a rough summary of what it is that I do.
Nice. And are you originally from here, or were you from Nigeria?
I was actually born in Nigeria. I didn't move here till I was 9 with my family. We actually won the visa lottery. I know that got canceled for Nigeria at some point, so we got here before the
right
visa
before
lottery
the cutoff.
debacle. Where people can't come here like that anymore. It's funny because my aunt and uncle, who actually live in California right now, who I'm staying with, they won the visa lottery as well. And I have aunt and uncle in Maryland who also won the visa. So my family, I don't know how, we're just lucky. I don't know. We won the lottery to come to this country where I guess we're meant to be here to serve a higher purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how things work, right? One of my good friends, and actually we were talking about him in the previous episode, Derek Okoth. He actually, I don't know the whole story about how he made it from Africa over here. And he basically came with the clothes off his back. And ended up, we went to school together. We parted ways after, and then just reconnected years ago. And, we've always had like a tight-knit relationship as friends and everything. And we're like that friend that you can not talk to him for like 5 years, and like you pick up the phone
right back up.
and you just pick up right back, right? And so that's how him and I are. But he grew to becoming Nipsey Hussle's producer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So talking about like, coming here with the clothes on your back,
right,
and growing to something, right? That's phenomenal in general.
I think when you come from another country, and America is built as a country that has a lot of opportunity,
right?
When you come from another country, you want to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah.
I feel like when you are born here, is more so something that's already, it's kind of just there, and it's easy to let it just go and not take advantage of it fully, but when I seen the struggle, not that my parents were struggling, I feel like we were middle class or whatever, but the fact that, it came to this country, I want to further what it is that my family had already done up until this point, So you feel that sense of trying to honor your parents and honor what they've done, and advancing, in that area.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a cultural thing for people who are, coming from another country, and it's kind of it's an advantage. I think it is, because you're gonna just do more.
Yeah, I like the way you say it's an advantage, right? And some people look at it as a disadvantage, and people are poor me, and it's like
I hate that victim mentality.
Exactly.
I hate it with
With the passion. You were gonna
yeah. It's like you're complaining about this, complaining about that. You're taking away the power you have to do something about what it is you're complaining about. If you're just gonna complain about it, then go and do that with somebody else. Don't come to me with that.
Yeah.
But if you want a solution or you want to do something about it, then we can talk, and in a solution based type way.
I tell people you end up spending more energy, doing the negative part of it, right? Or doing the opposite part of it than if you were to just like saddle down and actually do it.
Yeah.
Like you spend more energy just whooping and crying about it.
I think we get a sense, I don't know, I think it's like a superiority type thing. Someone did me wrong, it's like a moral high ground.
Okay.
As if you haven't done something to somebody else or someone else hasn't seen something that you've done. And it's like, I'm better than you because, morally you did this wrong to me.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of like
I can see that too.
Yeah.
I can see how people can play that one.
Especially now with social media, is rampant.
Oh
my
Don't
God.
even give me stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about
that becomes a whole train rail somewhere else.
Right.
But I get you. So you said you doctor of pharmacy, right?
Right.
And so now you're more on the holistic side of things.
Exactly. So
let's touch on that a little bit.
Okay. So I started weightlifting when I was in high school.
If you guys can't tell, this fool got guns on him.
Thank you. So
oh man, did that make you blush?
you can't tell. I got a nice tan going on right now. You can't tell my blushing. So I believe health is a holistic thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a physical aspect in terms of being able to move your body and the exercise component. There's a mind aspect, a mental aspect, knowing the knowledge and what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe there's a spiritual aspect to it as well, because even though we are so based on physical, like when you think about it, like what is your body made out of?
Water. Same for
what 70%. Is water made out of?
Hydrogen and oxygen.
What is hydrogen and oxygen made out of?
It's an element. But what's it made out of?
Yeah.
Oh.
Electrons.
Protons. Electrons, neutrons.
Yeah. So everything in existence is that.
The molecular level.
Yeah, everything is the same thing, right? It's just arranged in a different way.
Right.
So even things that are so simple, like we're just, this is how it is. Like this solid chair that I'm sitting on right now is not really solid, right? It's more empty space than actual material, right? And so when we're thinking about our bodies and we're thinking about, it's just, you eat this, you do that. It's a lot deeper than that. It's a spiritual thing that comes to it, and it expresses itself in your life as being well and being healthy.
I believe in that. I mean, one of my mentors and one of our guests that were here, we talk about the spiritual psychology of everything, right? Because we're always talking about mindsets. We're always talking about, your mind has to be right, but if you're not well spiritually, right? If you're not aligned, everything else isn't aligned either.
Exactly.
So when you're talking about the spiritual side of your well-being, what are you talking about when it comes to that part?
I believe, so the reason why we have any goals or to do anything is because we believe that if we get this goal, we're going to feel good. It's going to be something that's going to be good for us.
Right.
I believe in starting with the end in mind, right? So if you are able to accept the end that you're looking to get now, the time, the space between point A and point B is going to take care of itself because you've already accepted that this result is going to be, right? So it starts out with that. You have to, like for me, for example, right? It's natural for me to go to the gym and work out. Right, it's something that's natural for me to do. In order for you to get the results that I have, you have to be able to be natural in doing that as well. If that makes, it's the consciousness that leads you to doing what you're doing.
Gotcha.
Right, you have to think a certain way before you take a certain action. Yeah, and I don't know, and I wasn't able to articulate the way I
All right.
wanted to,
I
but
get you. I get
you
you.
know what I'm.
I know where you're getting at.
Yeah.
So, what is it that you advocate for then for your clients then that are trying to achieve their goal?
Okay.
Like, what's your process with them and getting them to their goal?
So first of all, we start out with a 7-day trial run, right? Where we are figuring out what you're saying I am to, right? So our whole life is just a reflection of our conception of ourselves, right? If you conceive yourself as someone that is stupid, you're going to find yourself in situations where you feel stupid because you said something wrong, right? You have a conception about yourself that I am unhealthy, or oh, it's hard for me to lose weight, or it's hard for me to do the right things, right? You're going to find that in your behavior. You're going to find out in the way that you're expressing in this life. So the first thing we're going to do is find out what it is that you're saying I am to by bringing awareness to it. And the first way to do that is through meditation, right? Because life is a living meditation. The way we live our life is a meditation. You know, I'm having this conversation with you. Something you say might trigger something in my head that brings me back to something that happened to me before. But then I bring my head back to this present moment because what you said only triggers something that I thought about myself, and that's why I thought about it.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
No, I get that. I'm a big self-development person. I've done a lot of different programs. I've done a lot of different readings. I've done a vast amount of things, right, when it comes to that. So triggers, I understand them, right, and I understand how one small little saying can change someone from 0 to 100 really quick, right? And I'm very careful on how I choose my words when I'm
it's not
talking
even
to people.
you though, but it's not even.
But
you.
it's not me
because there's nothing you can do about
There's
it.
nothing I can do about it, but I know.
It's on the person.
But like to me, like I don't say like, oh, this is gonna kill me, right? Like, I don't say things like that because then it could trigger somebody else that had, that perception back in the day or something like that, right? And now it triggers them to be like, oh, I remember a time that I wanted to do something like that. And so, again, choosing the words wisely is a big thing about what I say sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I should say all the time.
But you can't be too careful.
No,
either,
you
too,
can,
know,
but using like those phrases, like, because I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, this is killing me." Well, you keep saying that, it's gonna kill you, right? Like you keep saying it, it's gonna do it.
You're programming your subconscious mind. With
Exactly.
Your words. Absolutely.
And so, just being able to just watch what I say, I know helps. It helps me too, because if I say the wrong thing, then I start programming myself a certain way.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is how we talk to ourselves. And I am is.
Have you ever read that book?
Which one?
What to say when you talk to yourself?
No, I haven't read that book.
Basically, what you're talking about right now about being careful about the words that you're saying to yourself.
Right.
Because we're constantly auto-suggesting. Like whatever happens isn't really what's happening. We're suggesting the meaning of what's happening.
Correct.
So you have to watch what meaning you're giving to what's happening.
Well, and then they say I am is the two strongest words put together.
That's actually God.
Right?
No, I am is the definition of God in the Bible.
I am.
Like the awareness of being, that is what God is.
That's a good one.
Right, because I see people a lot of times they're arguing for the existence of God or arguing against the existence of God as if they know what they're arguing about. Like God is something that is self-evident in everything. Consciousness is what God is, and we are here to manifest and to express God.
Right.
Right, in how we live our life.
Right, and I always say if there's a reason you can envision something, it's because God's given you that vision to be able to execute.
Because it's already in existence, and now you will go to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when we say that, because
Right.
people are like, "Oh, I had this vision, I can do it," but I could never do it. I'm like, dude, yes, you can.
If you had that vision, that means you can do it. Right.
Yes.
You wouldn't have had it if you weren't able to.
Right, and so like I tell people, like I've seen things and I know I can make them happen. Right, I've seen them before and I've seen them come to fruition, so I therefore believe,
right,
it's true. And that's why I say, like, I watch what I say, because it could change my whole trajectory, with just one simple thing I say the wrong way to myself.
Right.
And it's always like I tell myself, I always say my 5 IMs in the morning, like right, and my 5 IMs change every day. Like
Oh, you think of something different.
it's
every
well,
day.
it's whatever the first 5 that come to my head,
Uh,
right? And I know for a fact they're different, even though I don't remember them.
mhm.
Like I know for a fact those 5 are thrown at me for that day for that reason,
Right.
right?
I like the fact that you have a morning routine too, though.
Oh, next I have a crazy morning routine,
Yeah.
and people are like,
It
"What do
sets
you
you up
do?"
for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear my crazy morning routine, I'll tell you. Like, so like, my morning routine is like now I've been so like the first hour that I wake up, I do some work,
Okay.
right? Because you're like in a higher state of awareness, right? Because like you're still in that deep sleep in a way, but
Mhm.
you're still I forgot what they call it, the delta state or the theta state.
I
Forgot
don't know.
which
I
one
don't
it
know all
was.
the labels they got for it, but
I
you're in
know.
a good way.
My mentor, like
Yeah,
he's
you're
like he's the
good.
one who
You're
got me,
good.
right?
You're good.
But from there, like
Uh-huh.
I have a morning cocktail, which is it consists of some
Morning.
vitamins.
Oh.
No.
Oh,
We're not talking
okay.
about like Jameson
Oh, okay.
and anything like that. But it's like
Oh,
vitamins.
you threw that word out there on purpose, huh?
I did. I
was
tried to
trying
throw
get-
you off.
was
You
trying
saw
to
that
throw-
when
yeah.
you're like, what's that? What's that? Bailey's and coffee? No. No. So I do that. Then I do some. They call it functional patterns, which is I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah,
I
you were
think we were
talking.
talking about- yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
I've heard of functional movements, not
So,
functional patterns.
Yeah, it's functional movements, right? So same thing in a
Okay.
way. From there, I jump into an ice bath, which is
Okay.
down to 44 degrees
44 degrees.
Fahrenheit.
Okay, so it's not
That's cold.
freezing.
It's not
Yeah.
freezing yet.
Yeah, throw some ice in
I
there.
try to get down there. I'm trying to get
Okay,
down there,
okay.
but little by little. And that's like the morning routine. But between all that, there's like my time of like meditation within, I'm inside the bath, or it's I'm doing my functional movements, things like that. So, my 5 IMs come out
Right,
sometime between that time,
right.
right? And that just sets me up for my day.
Right.
But we were talking about it when I was recording with the marketing team with Dennis and Lupita. Like we were talking about, how they do their the affirmations, right? You guys can say it. Stay quiet, Lupita. But yeah, they have their morning routines, right?
Right,
And I
right.
just think everybody should have some kind of,
Right.
prep yourself for that day,
Yeah.
right? It's a whole, and I was telling them, it's like, me jumping in that cold plunge is like, that's like the hardest thing for me to do, even though like I jump in it, like my girl sees me just jumping at with ease, but in my head, I'm like, shit, what am I doing this right? And I just like, I get in there.
That's actually that's the hardest part. I forgot where I don't know if it was a Black Mirror episode or something where it's like, oh yeah, it was a Black Mirror episode where it was like, you're so scared of doing something, but it's only that initial shock phase, right? Like
Yeah.
you're trying to jump into the pool, you just putting your foot in,
Yeah.
but it's only that initial part. But after that, like your body kind of gets used to it, or whatever. I mean, eventually she ended up trying to kill him and like killing each other. So I don't want to. Let's not take away the rest of the episode,
Yeah.
but that part of it, I really resonated with that. And
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about.
And so I tell him, I go, that's like the hardest part of my, like, if I could conquer that in the morning, like, I got
The
everything
rest
else
of the day is
taken care of.
easy.
It's like easy breezy, right?
Yeah.
And, but, I try to tell people, like, hey, try to develop some kind of like morning routine that gets you ready for the day.
I feel like morning routines also help you stay in flow, right? That, when your day is kind of just, you're not really thinking about what you're doing, you're kind of just doing it, and, it's lighthearted, it's not too hard, like it's not too easy, it's kind of just a balance of it.
Yeah.
When you have a morning routine, it sets you up to go through your day in a state of flow. Yeah. And that's something that I encourage with my clients because, you don't want to be hitting your head on a rock to try to get the results that you want, right? You want it to try to get it in the I guess the first class way of getting to the destination,
Right.
Instead of, worrying and being hard on yourself and negative self-talk, staying in the zone and having that morning routine is an excellent way of staying in flow.
Yeah. People used to laugh at me because back in the day when I would weightlift, everyone's like, what do you listen to,
Back in
Adrian?
the day, you don't weightlift no more?
Well, not the way I used to. Not the way I used to. I mean, I used to weightlift with like bodybuilders.
Okay.
So these guys were like all heavy lifting and everything like that. And so everybody would be like, what are you listening to, Adrian? I'm like, you do not want to listen to what I'm listening to right now. What is it? Rock? Nope. Rock? Nope.
R&B.
R&B? No. And they're like, country? I'm like, no. I'm like, they go, what is it? I'm gonna go, I'm listening to like classical music. And they're like,
Classical music.
they're like, what? And I said, yeah. I go, because I'm trying to like, to me, like that was my, like those were my moments of like just releasing my stress, right? And if I was listening to like rap or if I was listening to like rock, I couldn't release it. Like for some reason, I would hold it, right? Because I don't know, like that music would make me want to hold it in.
Yeah.
And so I had to find something that just allowed me to like release that, whatever it was.
I fully get where
Right?
you're coming from with that.
But like get me going to a meeting, right? Like I'm listening to freaking Ice Cube, I'm listening to freaking Eminem, like I'm listening to like my rappers, right? If I like even like before coming here, like I wasn't listening to like classical. I was listening to like some country stuff. I was listening to some rock, but like when it was time for like my weightlifting, it was all classical.
Right.
And people were like, how the hell can you get pumped to that?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't need to get pumped. Like I already can do this. It's just, this is me releasing it.
Right.
So everybody has their different ways of flowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like every Monday I do like, I do breath work for an hour.
Okay.
And that one's, it gets pretty intense. But doing breath work on Mondays, it preps me for the week, it feels like.
Okay.
I set my intention for with my breath work, what I want to get accomplished for the week, how I want to feel for the week, right? And just that in itself, it just activates the creativity too. And it allows me to be a better performer, in my field.
I think it's awesome that you have this self-awareness.
Yeah. It's been
a lot
years.
Of people a lot of people don't have the self-awareness to even be able to explain what you just explained, and knowing yourself enough that knowing yourself enough that you have to have your day set up a certain way, what kind of music you listen to get yourself in a certain vibe, a certain mood.
And like there's days like my girlfriend would laugh at me because there'd be days like she'll drive with me to like some of my job sites, and I won't have anything playing. It's just quiet in the car, and she just looks at me and she's like, are you gonna put anything on? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'll put something on, like, go for it, right? But in my head, it's, how when people say like, there's no way you can think of nothing at points. Like I honestly can literally shut my brain off and just have my own serenity. And that's my time in the car sometimes. Like sometimes I just gotta shut everything off, shut my brain off. I know where I'm going. Like I'm focused on that.
Right.
But to have like no noise in your head, that's a hard one to do.
Yeah.
And I try to do that with myself every day, just to give myself some peace, right? And that's been one of my things, like bringing awareness to myself, like because sometimes we have like that back noise, right, where we're overthinking something, and I have to shut that off.
One way that I found that's good to turn off that overthinking and just in the present moment is just taking a deep breath. Breathe into your balls, really. That's what
I get you.
Take a deep breath. You see your head is going all over the place. Oh, I'm thinking, just stop.
Yeah.
You're good.
Oh, I mean, so when I have like my deadlines that are coming up, and I'm there just like reading plans, or I'm there reviewing proposals or whatnot, like I literally have to like, I push everything away, I shut it down, and I do the same thing. But I'll take like 5-10 minutes of just deep breathing. And I tell people, I go, it's weird. I feel like a tension headed coming, and I'm just like, you know what, close it. And I hold my breath for like as long as I can, release it slowly, and then hold it at the bottom again, and then do it again. And just that, it's like a total reset too.
It is a reset.
And the noise does go away, and then your clarity just comes back, right? And I'll be in a meeting sometimes, and I have like these developers that I work with, and one of them just he's a really good guy, but man, sometimes I just hear him talking to me, and I'm just like he sees me like taking a deep breath, and then then you see him, and he just starts like taking a deep breath too, and I'm like, man, this guy's like, he's feeling me then, right? And so like after like that happens, it's like the tone changes again. It's like, okay, we both had a little reset. Let's go back and attack this, right?
Exactly.
But like you said, breathing is just, it's another way of being able to calm ourselves back down.
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were saying that, but breathing is also connected with your emotions too, right?
Yes.
Because how is your breathing when you're angry?
Mm-hmm. It starts to escalate, right?
Right.
Your breathing gets intense. It goes into survival mode.
Right.
Now you're not even breathing through your nose. You're breathing through your mouth when you get angry.
Exactly. How's your breathing when you're anxious?
Same thing. You start breathing through your mouth.
And sometimes you even hold your breath.
Right.
Right. So different emotions evoke different breathing patterns. Right. So if you're able to if you change the breathing pattern, you can also affect the emotion as well.
Yeah.
So that's a way of, regulating your emotions. And you figure it out on your own, and you implement it.
I read this book, and I don't know if they call it breath or breathe. I forget which one it is, but the guy he becomes his own laboratory basically. He puts silicone in his nose, and only breathes through his mouth for a month. Records everything.
What happened?
He ends up gaining weight. He feels more anxious. His breathing is just more heavy.
How do you even do that though for a month?
Well, I don't know, but
how do you? No, there's no. You gotta
read the book. I will send you the book. I mean, you gotta read it.
I was with you when you first started, but I'm just now thinking 30 days. How do you make sure you're only breathing with your mouth?
He siliconed his nostrils.
Oh, okay.
I forgot how he clogged it.
I forgot about the silicone part. I was about to say.
I forgot how he clogged it, and then he put the silicone to seal it. And so it forced him to only do it that way. He developed sleep apnea, did all this stuff. And so then the moment he unplugs them and he starts recording everything, his breathing drops back to a normal rate. Everything starts regulating again.
Oh, wow.
And he starts dropping weight. And so I'm like this huge believer about breathing, right? Like the way we breathe. Like I'm conscious about the way I breathe.
Right.
Right. And I try not to breathe through my mouth. I'm always trying to breathe through my nose no matter what. And so even to the point that like I can tell when my girl is like stressing out, and I just look at her, I'm like, babe, breathe.
Right.
Close your mouth and breathe through your nose.
Exactly.
And like we'll be sitting in the car and we'll be like, I'm like, hold it. Do not exhale it yet. And then I'm gonna do the breath hold and then release, and now hold it at the bottom again, right? And I'm like, how do you feel now? She's like, better. I'm like, okay, cool. Now we can continue on.
Exactly.
But we as people have this idea of like, oh, I'm just breathing to breathe, right? And people don't realize that the breathing.
Like I'm just eating to eat, or I'm just doing this to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Like going back to wellness, right? Using my pharmacy background, the difference between a drug or a medicine and a
let's call it a drug because it's not really a medicine. I'm old school, man. Us Mexicans, it's like the vapor rub and a little bit of teresita. Right. It's gonna help you.
The difference between a medicine and a poison is the dose, or how much of it you're getting, right? Because even water, right? If you drink enough water, you can drown yourself and die.
I tried drinking a lot of water to see if that happens, and I still can't get there.
There's a bottle. Let me
Took a swig.
But yeah.
And the reason I said medicine and drug is because I think of like prescription is a drug, right?
Wait, so are you against prescription?
I am. If like the people who know me, I avoid prescription drugs as much as I can.
I do too.
I like the only thing I've taken now is like my metformin for my diabetes to like bring it back down. But just because that's like on the safer side of things. But again, everything else that I take is like a natural cinnamon, berberine, things like that to help bring down my A1C and my sugars, which I've been doing with that.
Okay.
So again, like I try to avoid as much as prescription as anything. Even when I had like heart palpitation issues that were going on, the cardiologist wanted to like throw me on 3 prescriptions, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I went back to my other doctor.
Yeah, when your heart starts beating irregularly, they usually push you on a blood thinner because that's prothrombotic, means that your blood is more likely to clot.
Right. And so my doctor, who he's both your traditional doctor, but he's also your natural herbalist guy too. So he goes, Adrian, like, look, let's not take all these 3 prescriptions. Let's try the natural way first. If I can't control it naturally, then I will recommend you to go prescription.
Right.
And so I went the natural way. Within 2 months, everything was back to a normal state.
What's your A1C now?
My A1C was off the chart, so you couldn't even read it at the beginning. Now it's at 9.
Off the charts?
Off the chart.
As in
So as in over 16. They could only
16%?
Yes, they could
And they only
read,
put you on metformin?
and now
Usually not. Like,
no, I should have been
what?
on insulin.
yeah.
I should have been on Januvia. I should have been on something
They
else.
should have threw you on everything. With
Right?
16.
But my doctor, I told my doctor, I do not want to take anything. He goes, at least take metformin.
Right.
I said, okay. He goes, look, metformin is like the safer one out of all of these things that I can throw you on. But if you want to go natural, we'll go natural. I went the natural route and dropped A1C down to 9 so far. And I mean, my sugar level's at 130 in the mornings,
Okay.
right? But again, people are so used to, oh, well, here's a prescription. Here's a prescription for this. Here's a prescription for this. I mean, how, I know we didn't have these crazy sugars back then. We didn't have all these, modified foods back in the day that causes a lot of heart diseases and everything else. But, the Mother Earth gives you what you need to better yourself.
Yeah.
And so I've always been a firm believer that, I don't know if it's because of my grandma who always had these remedies of how to, heal yourself, naturally. But I just didn't like taking prescription medicine.
Yeah, because you don't know what they put in there. You don't know.
I mean, it's all chemical stuff, right? It's all
Yeah.
chemicals, and our body is not meant to take chemicals like that.
The thing too with prescription medication is they derive them from natural stuff. So they'll take a plant that has an effect on the body.
Yeah.
They'll isolate whatever it is that's having that effect, and then they'll change it so it does it more, or it does it for a longer period of time, or whatever. So it's kind of the same thing. I think there's a space for both.
Yeah.
I think there's a space for both. I think some conditions where you can use the medication until you're able to get yourself, into a right space. For example, pain, right? You might not be able to do anything if you're in severe pain.
Correct.
I know we have the opioid epidemic and everything that's going
Yeah.
on as well, but so you got to be careful with that. But I think there's a balance with everything.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like I said, there's certain things we do need it for, right? I mean, I was hospitalized. I needed surgery. Like, there's no way they're gonna do a surgery on me without giving me, my anesthesia and some other
You're
stuff.
gonna be looking
right?
the doctor right in the eye as he's cutting you open.
Well,
like,
I actually woke up when he did my leg surgery. I woke up in the
You
middle.
woke up?
I woke up and
Wow.
I was like, I literally got off the bed and they're like, "Oh shit, he's awake," and I was like, "Oh, you're just still operating on me?" And all I
I
remember is
wasn't
like,
supposed to be.
I just remember the mask hitting me in the face and like I just crashed out again.
Oh wow.
But again, it's but we do need the medicine, to be able to continue forward.
You know what I would recommend for your? I don't even want to say you have diabetes because I don't want to put you with that label. And it's something that is kind of controversial. It's not something that a lot of pharmacists recommend, or
Right.
people in the healthcare profession even recommend. But I personally believe in this. I believe in fasting. Right? Because what diabetes is your body is no longer sensitive to insulin.
Correct. It's insulin resistant to it.
Exactly. Right. And I fast almost daily. Right. And the reason why my body is sensitive to insulin is because I go that period of time without it spiking glucose.
How many hours are you doing a morning fast or how's your fast do?
So I eat when I'm hungry. So I don't try to. No, I hate when I'm hungry.
Gotcha.
But I don't eat breakfast typically. My first meal is either going to be lunch or dinner. So I usually eat either one meal or 2 meals a day.
See, now so I used to fast, like I wouldn't eat for about like 18 hours, but I would skip my breakfast, right, in those 18 hours. But now it's the opposite. I don't eat after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I won't eat my first meal until about like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so you are fasting.
So I'm fasting that way now.
Okay.
And so I've realized that fasting that way actually improved my sleep than fasting the other way, where I would eat later. But then, because then your metabolism is moving. So what happens when your metabolism is moving? You can't really sleep because that's working and your body temperature rises. So when your body temperature rises, then your sleep level drops because you can't hit your REM state or your deep sleep because of your temperature. Crazy stuff. I mean, I'm not even I'm not a doctor, but I mean, just watching how
I wasn't going to argue with anything you were saying.
But
I mean, it might not. I'm just saying because it might be real for you.
Yeah.
Like if someone is telling me their experience, I'm not going to argue against what they're experiencing or whatever.
And the way I'm
it might not be the same for
actually,
everybody.
I'm actually tracking it through my Aura Ring.
Oh, that's an Aura Ring. Okay.
Yeah, so I track it through my Aura Ring, and so I experiment with
Do
my
Aura
body.
Rings really work?
I mean,
never had or seen.
I actually track it on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, like, how does it work? How does it?
So there's like literally a little computer in this damn ring, and it reads everything.
What
And
exactly
so it's
does
reading
it
your
read?
oxygen level, it's reading your temperature. It monitors, like it actually knows when you fall asleep and when you wake up during the night. I've looked at my phone when I wake up to track it, and I watch it the next morning once it reads and uploads all the data, and it tells you exactly when I woke up, and it tells me my deep sleep cycle, and it tells me my body temperature change, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna mess with it. So I gave it the baseline, and so then I started eating late at night, and then I realized my body temperature would go up. So what happens when you're metabolizing? Your body temperature goes up. And so I started realizing, it's telling me, oh, your body temperature went up like 0.4 degrees, right? And I was like, no, it can't be because I ate late. So the next day I didn't eat. I went back to my normal fasting. Body temperature didn't change. I did it again. Body temperature didn't change. So then I ate it late again just to see what would happen. My body temperature changed. It went back up. So it's just me playing, laboratory with it.
And you think your body temperature going up had a negative impact?
It does have a negative impact when you sleep.
No, you felt it.
I felt it.
You felt a negative.
I felt I wasn't. I couldn't fall asleep.
I mean,
and I was tired the next morning.
I told you, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with.
No, yeah. But I mean, those are just my experiences. Like you said, everybody has a different experience here and there of what they feel. But I know like my baseline. I know what my baseline is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool to mess with.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like what you do, man. I mean, just putting yourself in the right mindset with it and everything, and being able to, look at your overall goal from what you're saying and understanding, what you see it, you can get there and we can do it. But it's all within ourselves to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think like with the whole like McKinley here at the school and everything like that, the school, they're always about bettering the mindset of these kids here and always trying to find something to do with these students, right? And so I just wanted to ask, like, you took the tour. What did you think about the campus and everything like that?
I thought the campus was really good. I was shown a lot of the new equipment, you know, the playground equipment, the basketball court. I saw myself on the basketball court schooling some of them kids in the future. I could visualize myself doing that, just dropping some buckets on them or something.
There you go.
But, I thought it was just really great because, in order for you guys to do this kind of work, you have to love the kids. You have to have a passion for it. And I told you guys before, even off camera, and I really... It's something that I admire in you guys, and it's something that is praiseworthy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much. If how can people find you, on social media or find you? How can they get a hold of you?
So I'm on IG at AYO247, AYO247. So you can reach me out on there. I'm also on Facebook, just Ayo Oluseyi on Facebook. I'm looking to get more onto social media. I'm not really on social media as much as I should.
Well, look, you got the perfect team right here.
I've been meaning to get on YouTube. I've been meaning to do I just suck.
Wait. We just talked about this at the beginning of the podcast.
Bro.
You just said, I what? No, you got to rephrase that. I will do better.
I will do better.
I will do better.
I will do. You're right. But yeah, so I'm looking to be more on social media, but look out for me on there.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Ayo, thank you for
Thank you for
coming
having
on
me.
board and spending some time here with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It
And
was a pleasure.
We look forward to having more conversations for sure.
Absolutely.
Again, you guys, thank you very much for your time, for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode. Stay tuned.